Hello and welcome to Online Strategy Podcast. This is your host, Jason Wydrow, on Sunday, March 27th, 2022. In this episode, I want to talk about a topic that is extremely important to modern-day advertising, particularly on the note of balancing budgets and understanding the actual effectiveness and value of any type of advertising, for that matter, whether it's postcards, digital advertising, any type of marketing campaign like that. So I'm just going to jump straight into this. The issue that can come up, and I've witnessed this firsthand, and it is a common issue from the insides of the business without having an outside look, is really understanding the circle of audience. And I'm going to throw out a phrase here that I use, and it's called the deadly circle effect. The deadly circle effect, and the way I describe it, is the false idea that there is a demand or a want or other such need for your product or service in the outside world, outside of your existing business, your existing public consumer. What do I mean by this circle? Well, think about it in terms of a town, a city, a group, a political group, an isolated group of some form, way, shape, or form that tends to lean in your direction. So I think you can put 1 + 1 together on this and see that how that could be within a group. So you could have the appearancy that your advertising is very successful, it's generating a lot of business, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with this effect. The problem comes in when you try to get outside of that circle, when you try to get outside of that zone, and going in with the idea that you're going to be able to create the same advertising impact as you do inside your circle. Okay, remember, deadly circle effect. So the question remains is, well, how do you get outside of that? How do you know? How do you really understand what's happening beyond that point? A real simple explanation of this as well is referral dependency, which, by the way, is, I would say, even though I'm in the digital advertising space, I would say referral dependency and referrals alone are the single most valuable type of customer or consumer that a business can have. There really isn't anything better than someone saying wonderful things about you and then generating a new customer from that, or someone you can service from that. That's really a fantastic connection and a special form of promotion and marketing that not all businesses have the luxury of having. So back to the circle and getting outside of that. Well, the first thing you need to do is wipe the slate clean and disregard, essentially, in large part, that circle consumer. So you take all of those qualities and characteristics of that circle consumer that's in the circle and basically then say, well, what characteristics, what profile points are variant on the outside? And then you can begin to compare the two and then start to really look at and see. And you can actually do this as an exercise. As a matter of fact, you can take a piece of paper or your iPad or whatever, your phone, and type up side by side profile points. When I say profile, I'm specifically referring to the line item points that make up your consuming public. For example, if you sell candy, a large part of your public, might be younger adults or parents that want to give candy to their kids, or ice cream, similar. Or you are a manufacturer of electric cars, and the profile on the consumer that buys your type of car might be someone in the technology field. Someone has a high interest in technology, for example, or a high interest in electricity. So again, those are very basic examples, but you can see that the profile points can really give you an understanding of who you can best service. And it's really important to look at it that way. Who can you best service? Who can you give the most benefit? Like a contractor would, who can they help the most? There's a house that he knows he has a team of people that can efficiently and effectively rebuild or put up a wall that you need. That's the best combo relationship, right? All right. So again, you can do that exercise. You can write that down and then begin to compare the two and then find out now the next real evolution of this process is determining how to effectively talk to that audience. How do you talk to that public and bridge them into your world? How you can service them and bridge them into what makes you appealing, what makes you appealing and wanted, right? And it may very well be that it's a challenge to find this audience and a way to talk to this audience that's effective enough to create new business from it. And this is about as real as it gets in business. And the false idea, and I use the word false in the sense that, again, you can have the false idea that your product or service is in demand throughout the world or throughout a state or throughout the country because your town or community is driven to it in some way. Or, again, even less broad, a group, a political view group, or something that's shared in common that brings people to you. Again, this may be perfectly sufficient for your business, and it may suit your needs just fine. And I'm really not the judge of that. But if you do want to expand outside of, it is just ultra critical to be aware of the deadly circle effect and know your audience, existing audience, what entails that, and then profile that outside audience that you need to reach beyond that if, of course, you are trying to expand outward. You're trying to expand your business outward into new places and new people. So I would say the more fundamental point of this, where I see excessive waste, excessive energy, excessive money spend, is where at a very basic, even below this level, is the existing audience isn't really understood. That main core audience hasn't been defined and understood well enough to know how to give them an effective message to basically create more business from that existing circle. So anyway, you can probably imagine there's a lot, of course, to this subject, and in a podcast, I'm not able to cover every angle and aspect, but I'm going to end this by saying if you're having trouble, if you're experiencing difficulty in attaining new business, attaining that new customer that you're trying to get, really, really, really hone in and focus as much as possible on how you have to speak to that individual. Even if there's 10 of those individuals in the entire United States, and you need half of those for your business to succeed, you need to first find them and then determine how you're going to speak to them. Or determine how to speak to them and then find them. Either way. So hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this gives a little bit of insight into resolving a problem you might have or you might foresee, or a problem that you weren't aware that you had. It's just really important to, narrow these down and define them. That's what I could end with. And there's one other thought I had. There's really so much to this subject. This is such a broad topic. And, every industry and every type of service and every product is so variant and different. And the need for those is different. So your understanding of your product, as well as it compares to other products that are similar and comparable, is, I would say, equally important in the grand picture of being effective and determining that message. And really all of this falls back, if you've listened to earlier podcasts, look up VPF marketing. That's visibility, presentation, function marketing. This is the basic concept that encapsulates all of this in terms of, your visibility. How visible are you? Your presentation is really what I'm talking about here. How do you talk to that person? How do you talk to that public? That's your presentation. That's your out front, out facing presentation. And then, F is function, and function really is related to any type of interaction, whether it's digital, whether it's scanning a QR code, whether it's submitting a form, whether it's calling a number, any functional action that's related to the advertising and marketing. So again, this is more of the presentation point in the middle. Again, it's how you present yourself, how you put yourself outward is going to be the key to solving this specific problem. But again, understanding all ends of it, as I went over earlier, is really going to help the overall picture. So, well, that's all I have for you today. I do appreciate you listening in. I thank you very much. And until next time, so long, be well, do well, and prosper. Thanks for listening.